All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is, I think, is there a company reporting earnings today that you may not have heard of? I'm kidding. Anyway, good morning. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Lab.com, founder of Red Dog Mindset. I hope everyone's feeling well. By this point, it's 6:30 in the morning. You probably should have woken up. You should have drank a 16-ounce glass of water, maybe did a little bit of a workout, checked out what the news is doing, what's up, what's down. Thinking about yourself, what's the setup, where things come from since Friday, where are they now, what could be impacted by the Nvidia report, what might not be, et cetera, and getting your mind right. And then you tune in here. We go over 10, 15 charts, the key of the day, where I'm looking to make some cash flow, and then hopefully, you execute with some confidence with your mind right. So with that being said, you look here at the chart of the SPYs. Big move on Friday, inside day on Monday. Nice action yesterday, held the 8-day going sideways. SPYs right now are up about 50 cents, holding in there. Can't be so upset about the action in the SPYs. Even tech that's kind of lagging, it's not a headwind right now, so there are things working in tech, which is nice because I like to be focused on tech. Look at the Qs. Look how tight this is. You almost have like an inside wedge. So this is what the Qs look like for the year. All right, that big V bottom with a higher low, and then we've been above the 8 and 21 day pretty much since April. 1 day below, and the active bears couldn't keep us below the 21 day for more than 1 day. Actually, here it was like almost a day and a half. Anyway, with that being said, it's pretty tight right here, just in general. So the ranges are getting real tight again ahead of Nvidia tonight. So if it gets above 574, there's room. Even the IWM, the small caps, you can't complain about this. Nice upper level flag, right? It ignited above this 229, on the day that it thought Powell was so dovish, et cetera, et cetera. And now you have 235.41, holding tight. So everyone's talking a little bit about their playbook. So let's see what Nelvis says, who's been pretty accurate a lot of the time. The playbook for today is an easy one. I own Nvidia in all my accounts. I'll be trimming and trailing. I'll be playing AMD potentially, trading in around. All right. I think most of my subscribers from the Alpha team, in Redler All Access, a lot of them have Nvidia as investments also over the course of the past 5 years, 10 years. That's one account. Then you have your trading account. A lot of prop traders are in the Alpha team that they need to get paid. It's August 27th right now. So on August 27th, if you've been working your butt off, stacking days to get a paycheck in September for August, you need to figure out what this short-term move will be and what could you do. Because a lot of times the best names out there might have a hiccup quarter and go down 15 points. And if you think you could just own it in an account you need to time, it's different. It's very different. We're going to go over that today with Mesh. I'm doing a webinar at 1 o'clock if you want to tune in, talking about power plays and talking about where Nvidia is. So if you are an active trader and trade for a living, don't get a false insecurity that Nvidia is just going to be at 195. You can take 1,500 shares and add to your month. What you have to figure out is what could you handle just in case it's not enough, just in case a lot's priced in. So what a lot of the guys that are on my side are doing, they think it's going to be 195 or more, so they're buying a 190 by 200 call spread, which I think is a nice way to do it because you're risking $2 to make 8. You could buy 10 calls, cost you $2,000. If you're wrong, if it goes back to 168, you lose $2,000 versus if you have 1,000 shares, you're losing $12,000. And if you want to buy 50 calls and risk X, you can make 8 times that. So whatever you want to risk, is cool. But as far as being an investor, I've been trading Nvidia for decades. Going into the quarter is a little tricky, especially if you're up X amount for the month and you want to get paid just in case. So anyway, with that being said, as easy as it is, sometimes it's not that easy. And if you're trading after hours, sometimes you could just not even take options. It trades through 185. Once it gets above and stays above, then you have your next leg. So 168 to 184, that's like a 15-point range. So, there you go. If it delivers, that's that. What's up, Lucas? What's up, Smith? MDB, yeah, a lot of people had NDB. Should do well for software. This is a good little setup, priced for nothing. Sometimes the best setups are the ones that are out of play and everyone is sleeping on it, and then you get you get a report that people aren't expecting, and look at that, up $66. Now that is a great option trade. I think CrowdStrike is something that's kind of like in that ballpark. CrowdStrike reports today from 520 down. It's been left for dead. Um, so sentiment's really poor. So people are asking what could they do if CrowdStrike is better than feared and looks and has a great move. Well, if you buy the 450 by 475 calls, pretty, you're not missing anything. If it doesn't get above here, and if it gets above 450 and goes to 500, you can make a nice move in CrowdStrike. So I kind of like the ones that aren't, as focused for an option play, because sometimes sentiment's off and it could really go. Yeah, if you guys want to play the juice of Nvidia, the NVDX or the NVDL, that's cool too. But anyway, I think this is decent setup. Yesterday we talked about Apple. So I think Apple's setting up for a move into its event. It's not a barn burner, but you know what? Nice little trade here. I'm long Apple. Some guys are long some options, and it'd be cool if this thing can get above, 229.49. There's a nice little void here on Apple to see 235. It's not a fast trade, but it's a great trade. So anyway, some guys are, really excited that they made a lot of money in Tesla. Listen, I went over Tesla with you guys on Friday. Actually, no, I didn't on Friday. I didn't have a 6:30 Club Friday, but the Alpha team bought it. Redler All Access bought it. Anyway, with that being said, Tesla, you can't ask for a better trading stock for the past few days. It satisfied my day count rules. It satisfied your day one rules, my tier system rules. And right here, Tesla woke up on Friday. Then I was here on Monday. It was down 2, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Redler, you're an idiot. It's down." I'm like, well, if it was up, you'd be just selling it. So if it's down, you're adding to it, and then you're probably adding to more of it when it gets through 340 and a quarter. And if you did so, you had more shares than you had overnight, and then you could have done the same thing yesterday. That's 3 days in a row, right there. I'm sure that puts some nice gains in your portfolio for August or for the third quarter. And a lot of people, I've helped breed some confidence in the 630 Club because we went over it. Just so you know, by the way, if you love the 630 Club, if you've been in the 630 Club since 2020, the whole format's going to be changing in the next few months where, you better grandfather yourself in and subscribe to Red Dog Mindset. It's only $10 a month. It's not even 30 cents a day, less than that, where, Tesla made people hundreds of thousands of dollars in the last 3 days. So anyway, don't be a free rider out there, but it's all good. Kenneth, what are you saying? Don't forget about RR. That was a good one. Nice move, really nice move. A lot of people on the Alpha team, I think Tracy from the Alpha team was talking about this one. They were all buying it down here. Nice trade for some on the VTF, like RR had a day one. I think that was down here. I don't even remember when that was. So anyway, that's another good trade. ONDS is one, is a name that had a great move also. I started charting it down here, and then a lot of people started free riding it. But anyway, with that being said, really big move. That's you can't be upset about that if you follow my 8 and 21 day rule. It never got below either one. You could have been buying dips the entire time. Just you got to the moral of the story is there's so many different ways to make money, but you have to have a conviction and a process and routine on what you want to do. I'm in this UMAC, which had a not the greatest day yesterday, but we'll see what happens here. Maybe this could hold this spot, go sideways, and continue. ONDS was much better than that. This LIDR I thought was pretty interesting. It's had a big move. A lot of my guys made a lot of money there. They started buying versus the gap, and it's coming up. This is kind of like the autonomous driving software. The car moves when something gets close. It's trading all right. It's not great. BMNR, I don't know. Ethereum's down a little bit. I was just asking Conrad before, what's is there anything out there on BMNR? And at this point, he said, we don't see anything. I don't see a money raise. It's only down, it's not a bunch. Ethereum is only down small. So I don't know why, this is down 4%. Does anybody know why it's down 4%, Jim? I would subscribe if you follow 6 Club. What I would just do is go to Twitter. Go to Twitter, press the subscribe button. It's $10 a month. You know, I bought this today. This was $6 for a Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee for 1 day. 1 day. So in 2 days, that pays for Red Dog Mindset, which gives you a ton more than just, a Tesla trade. But anyway, with that being, the lockup, okay. Anyway, Ethereum's hanging in there pretty well. It's pretty impressive to me that Bitcoin went down to almost 100-day, and Ethereum held the 8-day. So as long as Ethereum holds this 36 area, I would think you could be, long versus that, and then at some point we'll see which way this direction goes. Maybe get an inside day today. IBIT, which correlates to Bitcoin, broke down a bit, but sometimes it does it. Did a little bit of a red dog reversal yesterday. Maybe you get a bounce into the moving averages. Yesterday was the first day I actually played Palantir in a while. A lot of guys from the Alpha team like, Red Dog, why haven't you been playing Palantir? You don't talk about it that much. I'm like, because it's been out of play. I'm not going to short it. And finally, I think we even talked about it yesterday. I'm like, hey guys, you have your low of 142, a higher low. I think you could play it red to green and then some. And that was a nice move yesterday. Actually, my biggest, that's the beauty of trading, is that you could not trade something for a while, then go back to it. And yesterday I actually made more money in Palantir than I made in Tesla yesterday, because it was a fresh trade. It was a good setup, the way I like it, where everything's red, goes red to green, holds up, shows relative strength, and then gives a push. And it's still broken. So this was just a broken trade, and now it's up $2. So I actually just trimmed a little bit. Now it's up $2, so why not take a little bit off? So I haven't been in this thing literally in a while. It's been in a corrective phase ever since it broke here. It went down my list. So anyway, that's why you have your A, B, and C list, and you move things around based on the setup. Let's see. Yeah, like you could see on the Alpha team, you come in, my options aren't listed yet, and it shows me what I'm long. So if you are a professional trader and you want to join the Alpha team, then it shows like a sell. So here's Palantir. I already sold a little bit this morning at 631. It's up $2. I always take a little bit off when a gap up is in my favor, because I like to net money and then I stay with the trade. See, with Tesla, I didn't touch it yet, just overnight. Anyway, some people are like, well, it's the Alpha team. I'm like, well, the Alpha team gets to see all my positions live. And I have more than those because, I do have options, and it correlates to a clearing firm. So it's not like paper trading. If these are real trading at a real clearing firm, the drop comes in at 720. Anyway, look at 1 week and 1 month at APP. Yeah, APP's got a nice setup. APP, it looks like it's ready to clear this spot. Gave you a nice little bottom tail right here. Kind of like Reddit. Started to wake up on Red one again. Yeah, this looks good. I haven't been as focused here just because it's very loose and wide, and it's a little trickier to trade. So, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 positions right now, which is probably too much, and options and a few hedges. So sometimes, sometimes people are like, Red Dog, why don't you trade Netflix so much? Because Netflix trades by appointment, and it's not the easiest to do. And I like to trade things where I can see the relative strength intraday or the relative weakness. So I can use my tier system. I can use my charts, whatever. PLTR Kramer saying 200 again last night. All right. Well, that helped my overnight. So thank you, Kramer. It's funny. The other day, a lot of people I saw on the street like, hey, Red Dog, I've been doing your ice plunges. It's making me feel good. I'm doing the 25-20. I was in front of Chase. It was kind of fun. And Chase said, wow, that's pretty cool that they really think you helped change their life. I'm like, well, I'll keep doing it until people start throwing tomatoes at me. And unfortunately, a lot of people throw tomatoes at Kramer. I don't think, I just think that he's on too much and he has too much time to fill. So he says too much and he throws things against the wall. But he knows what he's doing. He's been doing this a long time. Sometimes he cheerleads at tops or gets too pessimistic at bottoms. But, the guy is not on the take. Some people are like, he's on the take. He's not on the take. Anyway, so that's APP. Someone asked me, why was Google down yesterday? Well, it's allowed, right? We put it on as a power play in the 200s, and it went to 210, and that would do all-time high. And all it's doing is letting the 8-day catch up. I think there was a little rebalance yesterday too, where maybe too many people were in Google, so they had to readjust. But anyway, I would think that if Google's going to be any good, it holds this 205-ish. You know what's getting kind of tight? Amazon, look at this pattern right now. Amazon, to me, is becoming a bit more of a focus. It's not special yet. It's getting it again. It's holding this 225 area. You have this wedge-ish formation. So I would think if the market's going to hang in there, this could be pretty good. If this gets above 229.60, it's got some room. It just maybe needs some kind of catalyst. I don't know what that catalyst is going to be, but Amazon to me looks like it's resetting up. If you look for setups versus looking for tops, you're probably going to make more money over the long term. And like I said before, this isn't going to end well. It's not a trading strategy. Anyway, let's see who else we got going on here. Could I go over BAC, Bank of America? I haven't looked at Bank of America in like months. Wow. Bank of America looks good. Look at that. Nice little breakout above all the moving averages, probably above a macro pattern. Let's look at the weekly. I haven't looked at the weekly chart of this in a long time. Wow. Bank of America. Good job. Back to highs. Pretty impressive. Very, very cool. Good for you guys if you're in Bank of America. I know JP Morgan has been awesome. Goldman's been awesome. I guess Bank of America has been awesome too. Look at that. A lot of ways to make money in the stock market. JP Morgan probably on its way. I listed this chart yesterday. This is my language. JP Morgan, like Goldman, leads the banks for opportunities and clues to the tape as long as it holds 285, which is right here. Some will stay long as a swing. This way you're not really watching it. Or if you're really, really active, maybe you want to do 290, which is a different area. And then the recent high is 301, which it looks like it's going to get above. So anyway, I've always put like 40 charts together with language. Yeah, C was part of my report this summer. Gold, yes. You know what? I bought some options for gold going out into September thinking, hey, look at the size of this, this range. This is a huge range. I know here I made a lot of money with people on gold to start the year as a hyper focus. And then I kind of got away from it. But people like Red Dog, you haven't really looked here in 3-4 months, which people are pulling their teeth out if they've been hyper focused on gold. Don't pull your teeth out. You need those for later in life, by the way. But now, after topping on April 22nd, going sideways for April, May, June, July, for almost 6 months, you would think 300 to 315, you're going to get some kind of range break in the fall. Looks pretty good. AMD woke up again yesterday. Didn't really give you that much action here. Remember I was saying this 168.50 is, a little bit of whatever it's called, battleground. You guys get so excited. AMD's up $1.34. It's not even above yesterday's high. Anyway, AMD's been a vehicle. Just went through a corrective phase. Broke a little below the lines, coming back up. You guys could make all your money on AMD you want. That's cool. Anyway, let's see. What else? Microsoft is weird. It's hanging by a thread. When Microsoft broke 517, that kind of gave us a risk-off feel in tech. And yesterday it played with this 502 and held it. It went to 409 or 498, gave you a little red dog reversal. I don't know if the funds know something or this. I have no idea. All I know is that Microsoft's been for sale. I traded it once in the last bunch of weeks from red to green, and it's been coming in. At some point, you would think it's a buy. It's at the 50-day, but for right now, it's not been where you want to be. Morning, Scott, from Joe Repisol. Morning, Scott. AMD is probably waiting on Nvidia earnings. That's true. Good thought right there. CVNA had a solid day yesterday, looking to continue, says Gary. Let's see, CVNA. Yeah, that looks pretty good, right? I would say right here, kind of gave you a little bit of a bottom tail-ish. Now it's breaking above the moving averages. I don't really trade it, as you can see. When I punch up a chart, and if I don't have lines everywhere, that means it's usually not on my radar, but I like to kind of frame it for you guys. It looks pretty good. Yeah, can't be upset about that. Oh, someone asked me, why am I in Wolf? This was this remember how it got ignited? Remember we used to be like, oh, Wolf, gave you a move to 1024 and 1071. Well, pulled in, turned up yesterday. It looks great versus the 8-day, so I bought some. A lot of my guys are making a lot of money in this iron. It's a very similar company. Look at this move. Some of my funds out there, I think this is going to go to 50, but obviously it's a little extended right now, and it needs crypto to start acting better. But it also has, an energy component. Look at that. Look at that move. So people think that Wolf is kind of a cheap way to play IREN, which we'll see. It's got to hold this little spot. So I put it on yesterday for the first time in a while. Good idea to trim Tesla today? I do. I think Tesla, with my day count rule, this was awesome. Like I say, when Tesla's good, it's fantastic. When it's bad, it really sugar on the iced tea. But anyway, day one buy, okay, instead of opening up on day two, it opened down a little bit, gave you more opportunity to buy it on day two. Then the same thing on day three. And now, Tesla's flattish. I do think Tesla can get towards at least 357. I would think. Could even be today, or it could be tomorrow after Nvidia if Nvidia is good. And then ultimately here's 367. And it's still really nowhere. It's just back to where it was in May. So this was a great trade. Great trade for power plays for T3. Great trade for everyone that's tuned in here. This should have made you a lot of money. Maybe enough to subscribe to Red Dog Mindset for, 30 cents a day. But anyway, HUT. Yeah, HUT is what, another miner? I used to trade this a while ago. Yeah, the miners are behaving. This this is pretty good. I think a lot of people like this fundamentally also. Wow, it's already up to there. By the way, meanwhile, we haven't spoken about MSOS. I put this on everyone's radar in July at 270. I bought options in MSOS. I talked about my private placement that my wife's been giving me a hard time in 2000. What was it? 2021. I bought a stupid private placement in the cannabis sector. I was supposed to go public and be a 5X. And meanwhile, I still got six figures sitting in some private placement waiting to come public, hopefully in the next 6 months. But anyway, I did buy MSOS again. And, here, you guys could search it in July. I posted a picture of Mike Tyson smoking a spliff and how they were going to pressure Trump, for, to declassify it for the banking bill. And look at this move. What a nice move. A friend of mine owned millions of shares of this Tilray, like 60 cents. I didn't play Tilray, but look at that. So there's a lot going on. So if you're not at the beach and on the mountains, you better be doing your homework. You better be following the right people. You better be looking for setups, not looking for tops, and making sure your mind is right to execute. I know a lot of guys sold Monday morning. Like, Red Dog, I can't believe Tesla's down on Monday morning. And they were selling it. Or they bought too much in the first 2 minutes. They didn't have their mind right. You got to have your mind right to execute on the X's and O's because everyone looks at the same chart patterns. Not everyone makes really good money on them. Anyway, tune in today for the webinar with me and Mesh. Mesh is, remember the average Joe from back in the day when he became famous back when we were in our 20s? We were living in the city. Anyway, so Mesh is coming on. He's one of the best in the business. He's a great guy. We're going to talk about power plays, talk about Nvidia, and just, catch up a little bit together. And then we'll see what happens after the close. We'll see what I need to pare down, what's working, what I want to take. And QS thoughts, this wasn't a fun trade, but it looks okay. A lot of my guys made a ton of money on the day the news came out, and it had a rip-roaring move to 15, and then, then it just broke trend. So I started playing it in here. I made a little bit of money, and then I probably washed out. Now it held. So there are guys who are thinking there's going to be some big OEM contract coming out to use their battery technology or whatever the hell they do. So I'm still in it. It's not a hyper focus. As you see, I'm in 17 positions. There are some guys just trading QS. Like, Redler, you suck. This stock sucks. I'm like, yeah, it's freaking a small little baloney company that might do better. That shouldn't be your trading focus. It could be one position you have. And if you have a setup, like you can say, I'm going to be long QS verse 777, and I'll look at it and then see how it goes. But anyway, take some accountability, and hopefully this works a little bit better. If not, it's fine. It looks like it kind of turned the corner, but again, so maybe if it did get through here, I would add to it. But again, it couldn't. Same thing with Rivian. Like, I bought Rivian back. It's not really a focus, but I'm like, Tesla's acting better. The dog is barking. Maybe the tail wags. There was some news that they're coming out with point-to-point autonomous driving in Rivians, where like you could punch in where you're going and the car will take you there. That was what was pretty exciting here. Now it's going sideways. So I'm buying a little bit of a dip and managing it while I'm trading other things. That's what you have to learn to do. But if you're too new in the business and you can't do it, then don't do it. But try it small or paper trade it so you'll see the success, and then maybe you'll grow a little bit and you'll make more money. We all want to make a little bit more money, and we want to make sure we enjoy life, because you only go around once, unless you think you've been reincarnated 15 times. I think I was definitely like an eagle my other life. But anyway, appreciate you guys. I'll see you on the virtual trading floor.